Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Wealth and Wellness Studio, the podcast that is here to help you get hotter, happier, healthier, and wealthier. I'm your host, Natalia, and welcome to the first episode of season 3. Well, technically, this might be the second because I don't know how we released the first one. But as you guys know, this season is all about follow through action. And we're not in the era of dreaming anymore. We're in the era of doing. This podcast is not for listeners. This podcast is for action takers. We're really here. I'm here to hopefully help you, inspire you that sometimes life is not perfect, but you still have agency and ownership of being able to build your dream life. And all of it really comes down to what you're doing on a daily basis, because the sum of your days is your life. So before I get into this episode, I just want to ask you guys if this podcast helps you get just a little bit hotter, happier, healthier, and wealthier. Or if it's just inspiring to you and you enjoy tuning in each week, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a 5-star review. Truly, this makes more of a difference than you could ever imagine. Helps me continue to pop up every week and make the time and space to be able to do this and pay the editors and keep this thing rolling. Would mean the world to me. And if you have any feedback, always feel free to reach out on Instagram, because I want this to be your community and your home of people who are looking to build their dream lives together. So let's dive into the episode. Today, I'm going to be talking about a topic that I think is very real and very relatable. And it is things I do when I get depressed. Now, believe it or not, there's a really funny reel that has been going really viral on Instagram and TikTok, and it's like, how can nobody tell I'm depressed? And it's like me when I'm depressed. And it's like this person having like the time of their life, or like looking like they're having the time of their life. But point being is, no matter how perfect you think someone's life is, there are always things that they're struggling with or things that go wrong. And everyone has those bad days. And just to make it very clear, I'm not a mental health professional. So this is not advice for someone who's dealing with suicidal ideation or really, really serious treatment resistant depression. Like this is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the feeling of being depressed on a day when you wake up and everything in life is going the way you don't want it to. You are not where you want to be. Things are falling apart. You feel unstable. You feel emotionally dysregulated, and you feel burnt out and like you can't do anything. Because here's the reality is, every single human is going to deal with massively hard crap that comes up in their lives. And that's just a part of the human experience. And personally, I think one of the biggest downfalls of our generation is the fact that we have made feeling bad like there's something wrong with it. Like anxiety and depression, like those words are thrown around so much that we think that there's something wrong when we feel sad or depressed. Like, let's say a relationship ends, or you lose a client that was massive, or something happens and you get injured, or your face like falls off. I don't know what it is, but like when bad things happen in life, you're going to feel emotionally dysregulated. And that's a natural response. And that doesn't mean that something's like disordered or wrong with you. Now, of course, like I said before, this is not for cases where there actually is disorders there, because it is a thing. However, for the majority of people, we have started normalizing comfortable feelings, and we all chase highs, and we forget that feeling sad is a very real and actually sometimes useful part of life. So here's the first thing that I will say is, stop expecting yourself to feel good when you're disrupting patterns in your life. Our brains are not wired to make us feel better. They're not wired to help us progress forward. They're wired to keep us comfortable. So if you're used to suffering, your brain is literally addicted to the emotion of suffering. And so if there's nothing that is making you suffer in your day-to-day reality or your life, your brain is going to try to sabotage or create suffering, because that's what you're familiar with, not necessarily what is like best for you. So let's say that you're deciding to step out of the matrix and start a business. Let's say you're going to get rejected a lot of times, which is natural. It is normal to feel imposter syndrome, scared, anxious in seasons where you're doing something that you've never done before. Not only is it normal, it's expected. And if you let your brain lie to you and tell you to quit just because something doesn't feel like something that you're used to, you're dumb. No, just kidding. But like seriously, like anytime you change something about your life, let's say that you've always been in like really unhealthy relationships. Stepping outside of that is going to feel horrible in the short term, but can you deal with the discomfortable feeling in the short term for the sake of a better long term? That's just the food for thought that I want to like put out there. But we're going to be talking about things that I do when I am depressed. So, or feeling really off. Um, so number one is nervous system regulation. You guys, for so much of my life, I've talked about this before, but I was extremely dysregulated in my nervous system. And of course, there's so many factors that goes into this, like of course, lifestyle and food and et cetera, which we're gonna get to in a second. But your brain is a literal organ. So if you're always drinking and you're smoking and you're using weed and you're constantly like, let's say you're not getting any sunlight, you're not exercising, there's no blood flow, you're stuck in unhealthy emotional patterns because of the people you're around, the content you consume, your literal organism in your brain you're damaging it. Like you're literally damaging it. So there's a lot, like again, you can kind of work backwards. Same thing with your gut. There's a huge gut brain connection, which I've talked about on this podcast before, and you can go back and see some of the experts that I've interviewed in this area. But you can start, sometimes you start with the emotions and sometimes you start with the like physical organ of your brain and how you're taking care of it. And I really believe in taking an approach that addresses both aspects. So, the first one I'm going to talk about is nervous system regulation. When things go south in life and you feel like you're falling apart and you feel like you can't get out of bed and you have no motivation and you're crying all the time and you're just feeling so off, somatic practices and looking into that, which we can do more episodes on this, but understanding like actually doing a scan on your body of like, okay, where am I feeling the sadness, the anxiety, the stress? Like, where am I physically carrying it? And doing practices that get you out of your head and into your body, because as someone who used to experience disassociating a lot, and again I say this loosely, but like some OCD thought patterns and feelings of like, if I don't do this, then this is going to happen. And then like spiral thinking, anxiety, like getting in my body and starting to step out of like my thought patterns and be like, okay, how can I physically get grounded in my body? Whether that's through pleasure, sunlight, walks, movement, yoga, like there's so many ways you can get in your body, but literally doing like a physical span because your body holds emotion. So, number one, nervous system regulation. I'm not an expert on this, so definitely go do your research on it, but focus on regulating your nervous system and things that can help do that. So for me, one of those things is when I feel super down in the dumps, I will let myself sleep because I think sleep is important. And then after I sleep, I'm telling you what I did this week. I went outside and I went on a walk, even though I didn't want to move my body, to get present in it, experience sunlight, put my responsibilities on pause for a second, get a cup of tea, and I would literally just like try to feel the sensations and the emotions and like get back inside of my body and get that sunlight, because sunlight is really, really, really important for your brain. So that was number one. Number two, gratitude. I remember the first time that I went into ACL surgery in high school and I had like just gone through a breakup, and I was really down in the dumps and it was really, really hard for me. And I had just had concussions, which had really thrown off my brain chemistry. And um, I had a friend who gave me a journal and said, every day, every morning, I want you to write down 7 things you're grateful for. And I swear that that practice has shaped me more than anything else. This week, when I started noticing that I was getting into very unhealthy thought patterns and just getting to like a little bit of a dark place, that was one of the things that I forced myself to do, is get outside, and on my morning walks I would start to name gratitude, things that I'm grateful for. And even if there's nothing, like start with like the drink that you're drinking, or the fact that if you have income, you know what I mean? If you have a roof over your head, if you have anyone who loves you, you know what I mean? Like think of, if you don't look outside and be like, okay, I'm grateful for the color of the sky, the beauty around me, like find things to be grateful for. Force the good. Like force yourself to look at the good. And I'm not saying you don't have to push away feelings of sadness. You don't want to do that. You want to feel deeply, but like force yourself to remember the good things, because sometimes those bad things can feel like a cloud over your life. force yourself to remember the good and write it down, speak it out loud, and do it on a regular basis. And you have autonomy to rewire your brain cells. So that's the second thing. Third thing is do the things that you know are good for you, even when you don't feel like it. I think this one is really the best one. It's very hard to do sometimes. You may not feel like getting out of bed, and let yourself have the depressive moment, the depressive episode. Like, let yourself have it. And then force yourself to turn off the phone and do the things that you know are good for you. Force yourself to eat a good meal. Force yourself to turn it off and be like, I will move as slow as I need to, but I will get this thing done because I know that it's going to bring me closer to my dream life, even though I don't want to do it. I don't feel like doing it. I don't have the emotions to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And the last one is really, I don't cuss, but fuck your feelings. Just freak your feelings. Forget them. Forget them. Let yourself feel sad and still do the things you told yourself you were going to do. You can feel sad and still reach out to the leads on your list. You can feel sad and still deliver on your work. You can feel sad and still eat a meal with 30 grams of protein in it. You can feel sad and you can still go on your walk. You don't need to try to change your feelings. Just keep showing up and doing the things that you told yourself you were going to do. And you don't have to do all of them every day, but just one thing that's going to make you a little bit hotter, happier, healthier, wealthier, a little bit out of your hole. And don't let yourself fixate and spiral. So, of course, the unsexy truth about feeling better is that you might not feel better until you're out of that. I've heard emotions, Brene Brown talks about, like, emotions are like what does she call it? Not a wave, but like a tunnel. Like, there's no way, you have to go through it. You have to go through it to like see the light at the end of it and like come out of it. So that, of course, is, again, not mental health advice, but these are just the things that I force myself to do when I'm feeling like I'm in a rut. And hopefully, if this is something that you struggle with too, hopefully this makes you feel less alone and helps you through the season. So love you guys, and I will see you in the next episode on season 3. Let me know, what are the things that help you? Comment it on YouTube or send me a DM at the Wealth and Wellness Studio on Instagram. But love you guys, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.